so we will start the public hearings. We have two public hearings tonight. One is on the Emerald Trail Solar Facility. We'll start with that. And then we also have one on the revision to Jamie McDonald's subdivision. So we will start with the Emerald Trail Solar Facility, and I will turn it over to...
Good evening. I'm Mike Atkinson. I am representing Acadia Emerald and the Emerald Trail Solar Project. This is a just under 1 megawatt ground-mounted fixed-tilt solar project connecting to the CMP infrastructure on Route 113. It will comprise about 13 acres of land. The fenced area containing the panels will be just about 9 acres in total. The remaining acreage will be for the construction laydown area and for tree clearing around the fence line to maximize the solar production. I'm sure there's no shading there. The project will participate in Maine's Net Energy Billing Program. It's a program that allows the project to receive energy credits from CMP, and then those credits can be sold to residents and anyone with a CMP electrical account. They can purchase those credits at a fixed discount to their rate. So if you get a 20-cent CMP credit, you're buying that for 17 cents and saving a fixed amount on your bill. It'd be like buying Amazon gift cards that were worth $100 for $85. You're going to spend the money anyway, so you might as well get a little bit of a savings. And that will be available to anyone with a residential CMP account. The wetlands on the property were delineated back in 2020 when the project had been when a different project had received a conditional use permit for a larger 5 megawatt solar facility on the same property. Next week, our environmental scientists are going to go out to the site and confirm that the wetlands are as they're shown, and that nothing has changed in the last few years. I'm confident that will be the case, but if there are any major adjustments to any of those wetlands, the project footprint will be adjusted accordingly, and won't increase in size. So, for example, if wetlands have spread into this corner, we would just adjust so that this corner is not being developed. There won't be any impacts to any of the wetlands. We'll connect to the CMP infrastructure here on the other side of Route 113. There's going to be about 100 feet from the property line back into the property that is remained vegetated, so there won't be any clearing there. It'll be just a straight 100 feet of existing vegetation to help screen the array, and the same thing will be the case over here on Beacon Road, except that it'll be a minimum of about 130 feet of vegetation that's left. The access is on Beacon Road. We'll be utilizing just a small portion of that road, and based on the discussions at the site walk, we've included a note on the plan that if the road needs to have additional gravel added to it, that will be done by the project, at the direction of the road commissioner when we meet with him prior to obtaining a building permit. That's really a high-level overview. Are there any questions for me?
So you're on over water. Is there an aquifer under there?
Not that I'm aware of. Just the wetlands off to the side. There are wetlands on the property, but they're not anywhere within the project footprint that's going to be cleared.
Facility down further, Long Roads,
Mhm.
and that was on there's a very large aquifer in the whole area. It goes all the way up 107 away from that. How many panels do you have?
This will be about 3,000 panels.
Okay, you dealt with DEP.
On this particular,
If a hurricane or a tornado comes through and busts up a bunch of panels, what's the instruction to clean up the mess?
one of the permits that we're in the process of obtaining from DEP is a solar decommissioning permit that is required for any solar farm in Maine that is over 3 acres in size. What that requires us to do is to provide the DEP a cost to remove the entire system and then place an insurance bond so that can be called upon in the event that the project is abandoned. In the event of a hurricane or something that damages just a portion of the panels and the whole project is not destroyed, those would be replaced so that the project could continue operating and producing the energy.
Are you familiar with cadmium telluride?
I am not.
That's the photovoltaic element that's in between the glass that picks up the sunlight and changes to electricity. Cadmium is the 6th most poisonous element used in industry. This stuff is quite poisonous. I'm concerned about pollution, especially if you're over water.
We're not over water. I don't know if we're over an aquifer. I'd have to look into.
There will be maps to show where the aquifer is, that large aquifer is. I'm concerned that the chances of a tornado or a 5-rated hurricane coming through here is pretty slight. So the percentage is down quite a bit, but it's very important that the pollution is picked up correctly and quickly. When I dealt with it earlier, 10 years ago, so they had no way to clean it up or separate the cadmium telluride from the glass because the cost to do it was more than what it was worth. It's one of those money questions situations. It's important that we deal with it. Cadmium telluride is not good. In fact, I did a little more reading. Cadmium chloride is getting into water, just like microplastics. Cadmium chloride causes Alzheimer's. We're polluting ourselves. Okay.
Thanks, Wes. Yeah, I don't know whether the composition of these particular solar panels includes that or not, or is that universal that all solar panels are made of that?
According to Google, it's not. It's a cost factor that is sort of swept under the rug. When we first started getting the solar panels over in Marietta, we had that in Long Roads, and we had 3 others that were on the paper that hadn't been made yet. And it was and I did a little calculation on it, an estimate that the panels are 3 foot by 5 foot wide and 2 inches thick, and the total number of panels if all 5 solar systems were developed to pick up all the waste or get rid of them all would fill 90 tractor trailers full of panels. That's how much volume we're dealing with. And the cadmium telluride in the panels is about 2 pounds. It would fill up 2 16-yard dump trucks. A lot of poison.
How do you think we can mitigate that, Wes? Yeah, I think they kind of have a right to do this if they follow our ordinance, but is there some way that you can think of that we could help mitigate that potential problem?
Not really, because it's like dealing with everything. It's a cost decision. Cleaning it up or separating the cadmium telluride from the glass costs more than it's worth.
Yeah, I mean the decommissioning has always been the Achilles heel of the solar farms. Decommissioning. That's why the state put in the requirements, but it's hard to see how we can mitigate non-decommissioning issues. Y'all are monitoring this out of Portland?
It will be monitored remotely.
You know where?
No, it's not like there's one central hub that's feeding all of these. It'll be monitored by a company that's contracted to do the operations and maintenance. So they'll provide reports of how everything is performing. If they see that a certain string of panels is down for some reason, they'll send somebody out to fix it and find out why it's not working properly. It's usually not because they're destroyed. It's because an inverter tripped, or one of the panels in the strings went bad and needs to be replaced. I've not experienced any natural disasters that have damaged the panels, but again, the decommissioning is there so that if large section of the project is destroyed and it is left unattended to, that the bond can be called upon and there's money there to remove it.
And what kind of so Wes, they can see when the panels aren't working, right? Over the internet. So maybe putting in something that is, broken or damaged panels will be replaced in a timely manner, reducing your concern.
I think they can determine that by the flow of electricity they have heaters.
They can self-avert through some of these things. It's pretty high tech. So like if they replace them in a timely manner, you're not going to have that leakage you're concerned about.
No, the real damage is if a tornado comes through or something like that.
Right.
And really busts the living daylights out of the stuff.
And the decommissioning bond probably comes into play.
And insurance comes into play at that point too.
Before more rain comes along and washes the ground.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, I haven't read much about it. They haven't done much about it because it's a cost factor, and it hasn't been really flat. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the real part now is there's a lot of solar installations beginning to reach their lifespan of 25 to 30 years, and they have to be removed, or they ought to be removed. But one of the things that they do is they consider if the panel becomes 80% or less than 80% efficient, it's not good enough, and they replace it. So instead of taking them to a dump and destroying them, they sell them to a third world country cheap. Third world, you find them here in the U.S. Pardon?
You can buy them here, yeah.
In the U.S.
Yeah,
They're perfectly good. It's just like that's a used car. That's efficient.
You're buying an 85% panel, not 100. But yeah, it's good to think about that.
Do you know what type of panels you guys will be using?
We usually use Canadian Solar. I don't know specifically what we'll end up purchasing for this project, but I can definitely look into how prevalent, tell you that specific component is, and see if it's in most panels, and try and avoid panels that may contain it.
So I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but the dialogue at this point needs to be between the public hearing, and Mike Atkinson, the solar project representative, and the board will hold its questions and discussion until after we close the public hearing, and then we'll discuss all that stuff. So,
yeah, sorry if I missed this for a couple minutes later, but what is growing there now? Or forest is there?
I'm not sure about the specific type of forest.
And has there been any study about, obviously a big part of solar is, minimizing carbon emissions. And has there been any measure of this particular property in terms of the carbon contained within the forest and its potentiality for carbon absorption?
We have not done a specific study, but I am confident in saying that the overall carbon impact will be greater with this project than without it.
Any other questions or concerns we want to address?
Yeah, I'll say one. This solar farm, everyone's like it, are the best tax revenue sources for the town of Albany there are.
How are they taxed?
They are not taxed by the town. We get reimbursed 50% of the income that we would have received if we were able to tax it. And the value of it doesn't add to our state valuation, so it doesn't impact the tax strip. So if you saw the study I did on the TIF, the solar farm, but this particular one returns a 50%.
Without a tip?
Huh?
Without a tip?
Without a tip.
Good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Learn more about that.
I did a quick search on the panels. It says that they are mostly crystalline silicon panels, monocrystalline, polycrystalline. They don't use cadmium telluride. That's Canadian. What would you say about Canadian?
Canadian Solar.
Canadian Solar.
That's what we've provided to CNP in our interconnection application to connect to the grid. They allow us to change out certain pieces of equipment are kind of locked into what Central Maine Power studied, but the panels are something that can be changed in and out. CNP doesn't really care about that. We've used Canadian Solar in the past, but I can't specifically say what we'll end up using here. It's going to depend on how tariffs and various things impact the solar module market.
Thank you, Bob. Anything else, folks? Gary, Jacob, anything?
Feel like we have our questions answered from the walkthrough and what's been submitted so far.
Okay, I think we'll, then, close the, public hearing on, Emerald Trail Solar. And we will open the, public hearing on, the revision to Janie McDonald's, subdivision. Do you have a larger version
No, I
of this
left
map?
both copies here.
What's that?
I left both copies here after the last meeting.
See if I can find one of those. Got it.
I think Joe gave it to me for safety.
I think we're just, can we trust you to,
Bad.
maintain this?
There's no.
But you did it.
I think I remember something.
Here you go, Jamie. Do you want to just basically tell folks a little bit about what the changes are?
So this is a subdivision that the solar farm is being put on this lot here that you walked on. Some of you walked on Saturday. This was a subdivision that was approved by the planning board back in 2022. When the solar project came up, the board requested that I go back to the surveyor, Sevago Technics, and just have the numbers of the lots renumbered. So there's no new divisions of land taking place. And that's it, but it just makes it look cleaner. So
What's the lot number where the solar's going?
2A.
2A?
Yeah. So, I'll show you.
Okay. Folks have any questions about, the subdivision, which has got 4 lots now, Lot A, Lot 1, Lot 2A, and Lot 2B, right?
2B, yep.
And we are gonna talk about Lot 2B tonight, with folks that are planning on, developing.
Really controversial, Jamie. But everybody was here for it, and it turns out they were back there.
Okay, thanks, Jamie. All right, we're gonna, close the, public hearing on the revisions to Jamie McDonald's, subdivision, and, after 7:20 here, we're gonna open the, planning board meeting for 23rd of April, 2026. So, first thing we'll do is call the meeting to order and determine a quorum, and we've got, everybody here but Joe, so, that means that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so one of you guys will be a voting member tonight, and the other will be an alternate.
You can have today.
All right, I'll tell you that. All right. So, Mike's the, voting member. Okay. Next thing we're gonna do is go over the minutes from April 9th, 2026. And, does anybody have any comments on those? Has everybody read them?
I didn't read them, so I'll have to abstain, I apologize.
I was not here on April 9th, so I agree with the, part where I was, voted to chairman, obviously, but, let's have a motion on these.
Motion to approve minutes.
Okay. The only thing that really happened, there was, we talked about Jamie's subdivision, there was no new business, and then we did the election of officers. With me as the chair, Joe Pierce, who's not here tonight, is the vice chair, and the secretary is Don Sharp, with, Mike Allen as a vice secretary.
All right.
You need a secretariat. Okay. Get the position up there a little bit.
All right. Okay, let's,
Oh, we gotta vote on that.
what's that? Oh, that's right, that's right. Have to remember the, Robert's Rules of Order. So, a vote, for the approval of the minutes, all in favor? Okay, that passes. Okay. And, now we're gonna consider the, CUP of, Emerald Trail LLC for the 0.995 kilowatt solar facility that we, just heard about. You know, I thought we were almost ready to, we are almost ready to sign off on, this, but I think we have, a few things to administratively to put together. We should walk through tonight the, conditions that, we're planning on attaching to the, conditional use permit. And, we also need to talk about the things that are still, kind of up in the air, like I don't think we can really sign off on this until we get the wetland footprint confirmation and we're sure that the, solar decommissioning permit, and insurance bond, that it sounds like it's in process with the DEP. Until that's complete and we have proof that, the town of Baldwin is named as, beneficiary along with the state, or however those bonds work.
That process is going to take about 3 months with the DEP because of how understaffed they are.
Yeah.
That is something we'd really like to provide prior to obtaining a building permit as a condition.
Okay.
It'd be very advantageous for us to be able to move forward with equipment purchases that we have to make to have as long as a list of conditions as needed.
Okay.
But some form of approval tonight.
Okay. So, one condition that we want to attach to the CUP is that if we sign off on this, the condition is that no construction can start until you have the construction permit from the code enforcement officer, and that would mean that the decommissioning bond has to be completed. So, how do we say that? Just like that?
So I tend to agree with Matt. I'm not sure we can do it tonight because of the potential adjustment of the footprint, depending on what the you said you have some people coming out and doing a wetland study.
Yeah, well, they are confirming the boundaries that have been previously delineated. When I spoke with Joe on the phone a couple weeks ago, he didn't even seem to think that was fully necessary for us to do, especially if we could obtain approval from the prior solar companies that had done that delineation. They would assign that over to us, which can't be done. It's frankly easier to have our environmental engineer go out and reconfirm everything. I don't see the wetlands changing in just a few years, and if they do, we will shrink the footprint, not expand it, not change it.
No, I get it. It just seems like that's a pretty threshold issue of where it's going to be on the land.
Yeah.
And it seems like if you can get it done in 2 weeks, you can be back here in 2 weeks, and we can get everything else done today.
Our next planning board meeting is May 14th, and we should be able to sign off on things at that point, because one of the other reasons is that we need to put the whole package together. This is the usual situation with these projects that have a lot of big parts, because we had the original CUP, we had a follow-up submission to the CUP, there's other documents, and all these conditions we're putting together. So after tonight, we're going to need to, work together to get all that into one package. And I tend to along David's thoughts, and what I had first said was that instinctively I'd be uncomfortable signing off on something when the footprint is not signed, sealed, and delivered, because it just seems like that's a moving part. And if the footprint of the solar farm were to change, then
It's not going to, if anything, the solar footprint would shrink, but I really do not think that is going to happen. Wetlands don't move that much.
You get our position.
Oh, I
you know, it's like you kind of raised it, you know, like if you had said we're going to use the other people's wetland delineation, it probably would have been, well, if you can do that, that's fine, but you said you're going to bring somebody else, and they're like, all right, we kind of need to see that before we say yes. Is anything going to blow up if we don't do it today versus 2 weeks from now?
I have to make a very large equipment order before May in order to safe harbor tax credits.
Okay.
IRS. It would, if it's really just about the potential change of the array changing, I think that I understand your position, but that's a little harsh in my mind, given that the footprint will, in no circumstances, expand. The limit of clearing will not be larger. The fence line will not be larger. If anything, it will be smaller. We're not going to shift anything.
So it's not going to need to change nothing will change that would require, the setbacks or the borders, with the 100-foot setbacks from the property lines or anything that, all the perimeter
Absolutely
stuff
not.
here.
There were no wetlands found anywhere near the borders of the road, so that section of the array is totally safe in my mind. I really just raised that to be transparent that that's going to be happening next week. It is really just a formality on our end, and I have no reason to believe we'll be back here with any sort of change site plan.
We can put that in as a condition that if anything from the wetland footprint confirmation creates any substantive the construction can't start until that's resolved. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Let's in terms of the time on this, folks, this is kind of a we have to go through this piece by piece, so it takes a while. So please bear with us. All right. You're right on that. No, I don't need to claim. I just wish. Can you make some copies of this? No, I don't think people need the standard conditions. Just the first page. 6 copies. You have one, right, Michael? Yes. Because I sent it to you. Okay.
Or the other side. You want 6 copies?
just, this is fun.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do now is go through the, conditions that will attach to the conditional use permit for Emerald Trails LLC. And, edit them as we need to. So the first one is provide a dog-leg entrance for Route 113 for electric service. I think that that is shown, and I wanted to point that out when Mike was doing his overview, that one of the things that we learned from other solar farms that we put in is that the people of Baldwin do not like to see solar farms when they're driving up and down Route 113. So we actually have created these dog legs for the electrical connection here. It's not a straight shot through from 113 to the solar arrays. It'll be a dog leg to block the view. And we even did that on the driveway entrance to the solar array from 113. So it's a dog leg in. So, Michael, one of the things that we want Emerald Trails to do, and that this is going to be incumbent on you and Miles and Len, and that is to reach out to the road commissioner, to the Baldwin Road Commissioner, Chris Harrington. His contact information should be on the website. And that's to review the Deacon Road entrance with the road commissioner to determine if any improvements are needed at the intersection of Deacon Road and 113. Okay. Now, we did have at the site walk the benefit of Brent Anderson's opinion. Brent hauls stuff in and out of there, big dump trucks, long trailers, so he's pulled stuff in and out of there longer than a semi. And during the site walk, he said he didn't think that getting the trailers with the equipment on it would be particularly problematic, which was reassuring. But we also know that Deacon Road is the start of a gravel road, and believe me, Carrie and Jacob and myself and my wife pull in and out of there all the time, and there is quite a lift from the gravel road. It's sandy, and you hit Deacon Road, and it's a bump. And I think that area is subject to degradation from the semis coming in. So Chris should have some thoughts about that, about how it might need to be stabilized for a lot of heavy traffic going in.
That sounds reasonable to us.
So these conditions are things that need to happen, before construction can start. Do we make that clear in here, Don, that these conditions are required to be accomplished prior to a construction permit? I just want everybody to be clear on what the, how the conditions come into play.
I was looking at the
So, you know, we have the dog legs on the map. You know, you can mainly let the code enforcement officer, but also the planning board know about your interaction with the road commissioner. You're going to provide a 100-foot landscape buffer from the edge of 113 easement to the right of way. And I know that's on the map here. I think the important thing to acknowledge is that is not from the center line of 113, but from the edge of the 113 easement and right of way. So you'll have to work with your survey people or the road commissioner or wherever to find out, you know, where the line is. I don't think the 100 feet starts right at the edge of 113. It would start further in where the easement right of way ends.
I assume that would be the same as the property boundary, correct? Where the easement begins is the same as the property boundary. You would plan to do 100 feet from the property boundary if that's the requirement.
Yeah, I don't know where that is. So.
I would like to clarify, is there any way we can change the word landscape to existing vegetation will remain? Landscape can a lot of times insinuate that we'll be planting additional trees and shrubs, which is sometimes done for solar projects on fields where there's not already existing vegetation. We just plan to leave 100 feet of what's currently there and let it grow up.
Existing vegetation. That sounds okay to me. Does the board think that that's makes sense? Okay. Okay. Number 4, provide signage indicating construction deliveries are to be made from the southbound lane of Route 113 and construction vehicles leaving Deacon Road are to be made to the southbound lane of Route 113. Is that what we had intended?
Well, I'm just gonna say to the right or to the left, but I think it goes to the southbound lane.
Okay.
It's not gonna get to northbound, because the radius is too short.
Okay.
That's been our plan to ensure that that's clear in our construction agreements. But if you'd like signage there as well to indicate that no trucks turning, some sort of sign like that.
Anything is to the left.
Yeah.
Or southbound.
And getting all of that wording on the sign would be tough, but no trucks, no right hand turn, something like that, and if we get the point across.
All right. We have that one. 5, provide signage indicating no construction traffic on Deacon Road past the entrance to the solar array, so that nobody is coming down and deciding they're going to make a U-turn that in front of Carrie and Jacob's house, or come down and take out the Birch Post mailbox my wife made me put in.
That sign is already shown on our plan.
Okay, good. Thank you. Provide a 100-foot minimum existing vegetation buffer along Deacon Road.
You had mentioned 130 during public hearing.
That's just currently what is shown is 132 feet.
So let's say 130 feet.
That's reasonable. And that will be existing vegetation as well.
7, provide a 7-foot-high game fence around the perimeter of the site. And, we got, from Michael, an architectural fence detail that shows the nature of this.
I have a few more of those.
Okay, good. And we need to incorporate this into the CUP submission package, along with these updated C1 and C2 drawings. Do you have full-size copies of these two?
Of the most updated ones?
Yeah.
If they're there, and I can.
Those are those, yeah, that would be good.
We're gonna need them electronically.
Yeah, we have them electronically.
PDFs.
Yep, I
Yeah,
sent
he
them
sent them to me,
In terms of the game fence specifications, is there any way that we can say that it will be substantially similar to these drawings? It doesn't have to be exactly as shown.
We're gonna include this in here. Why don't you use the term here, it's agricultural fence.
Okay.
And that will refer to the detail.
Isn't that state law? You have to have a fence with the fence.
I don't know if it's the law that we have to have it. We usually require the raised fencing. We do it anyway because most municipalities require it now. It is pretty standard. I don't know about it being the law.
Yeah, a good pitch in the future when you do that, when you tell the people that the fence is going to be raised up a bit so critters can get underneath. People love it. People love it, right? Yeah. I mean,
I do usually say that.
When you talk to people about prior solar farms, they're like, "What'd you like best?" Well, they're letting the critters underneath.
Yeah.
Okay, we got that. Okay, now this is similar to number 2. I don't know if you've done this yet, but it's important, and that is that Emerald Trails needs to take the initiative to meet with the Baldwin Fire Chief, Jacob Bradway, to review procedures for firefighting, rapid shutdown, and energy that is still in the system produced by the solar panels. And, we had that discussion, I think, at the site walk, where the concept is that, if there's a problem or some kind of a fire and there's a rapid shutdown, that you can't come in and start squirting water around because it's an electrical fire. It could cause problems, so that there are certain procedures that have to be followed. And so, have you met with? Has anybody met or talked with Bradway?
I have talked with Chief Bradway on the phone. It was an initial conversation where he had indicated he'd like to see a cistern on the property. And we are going to likely try and provide alternatives, but ultimately, if the cistern is what he would like to see, we will agree to it. But there are a few alternatives we're talking with our electrical engineers about that we'd like to see if we accept those as well. There's a large upfront cost to a cistern. There is potentially potentially ongoing maintenance requirements with it as well. And frankly, we've never seen a solar project that's been required to have its own cistern.
Okay.
But we do understand his position and just want to have further conversations with him about that. But we need to gather some more information before we can do that.
Okay.
We will make sure that he is signed off on whatever mitigation plan.
I'm going to go over a bunch of things, but let me start with the bottom line, and that is that I want number 8 to read that, just like number 2, is that prior to construction and the issuance of a construction permit, we need the sign off of the road commissioner and also of the fire chief before construction starts. Now, that being said, here's the moving parts. I came in here tonight and, you know, Joe, in his mystical communication way, said, "Oh yeah, Matt, Jacob Bradway, the Baldwin Fire Chief, wants to encourage the planning board to put forward new ordinances having to do with extinguishing fires. In May or June, I will work with him to do something close to a finished project." Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Nowhere in there did he tell me that it was specifically related to solar fire farm protection ordinances. So here's a document that apparently the fire chief has put together that, you know, it's a solar farm fire protection ordinance. And, you know, I haven't even read it all, but there's a lot in here. So I think what will happen is you will wind up negotiating through the most critical requirements of this for and it looks like he has a Unity Maine solar farm ordinance here as a basis for it. It was enacted 6/04/2022. So this is what he and Joe will be working on, and you will need to work through this to a point where the fire chief is comfortable signing off on this before construction starts. Okay. Now, the other thing is, you know, this was a point brought up by the CEO, and which I happen to agree with, that there's more than the solar farm in terms of the need for firefighting water. Okay. For instance, on the last subdivision that we approved, up 107, right? They're going to have to put in
Stony Brook, right?
Stony Brook, yeah. They're going to have to put in a cistern, right?
Either a cistern or whatever.
Or
an equivalent, something that Jacob Bradway will.
right. Or yeah. So it may be more the responsibility of the owner of the subdivision, Jamie, in terms of a cistern or water accessibility, because I know that was the subdivision that was put in on Pigeon Brook. there's a condition in there that if they do a certain amount of building or something like that, that they're gonna have to put a cistern in there. So, now, you're just leasing the land from Jamie, right? You're not buying it outright.
I wish you would tell us that, but you will not.
Right. So, Jamie, you may have to get involved in this discussion, with Emerald Trails and Jacob Bradway in case that, you know, that, a cistern needs to be, put in because you're the landowner.
Okay.
Okay? So, and you probably want to make a note of that as a condition here that, Jamie Donald needs to be involved in the discussions too. How are we on that condition? Does that sound like a good path forward?
What do we have now?
What's that?
Which number?
That is, 8.
And 9.
Yeah, yeah. I would say provide details of a cistern or, equivalent, firefighting, tools or resources or equivalent firefighting resources as required by the fire chief. You know, because we have to give Jamie and Michael, the ability to negotiate and come up with a plan with the fire chief.
Yes, provide alternative solutions.
Okay. 10, provide details of the gate, including signage for access to the site.
Sounds good.
11 is the town of Baldwin has to be named on the state bond for decommissioning. And
As additionally insured, is that okay?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we need to see proof of that.
Not a problem.
Provide insurance binder for local contractors and general contractor.
We can agree to that as well. We prefer if it said, provide insurance binder for general contractor and local contractors as necessary, in case the general contractor's insurance covers all of any subcontractors.
That's fine. And provide documentation showing that there's no interference with ham radio operation and you're actually able to, have borrowed interest, you know, from the proof of that was documented in the last solar farm that was there. So just get that map documentation and include it in the CUP.
I know there's a few solar farms already in town. Have there been issues raised because of those in the inverters?
Not that I'm aware of.
Issues raised, yes. Actual issues, no.
Okay. I think in a previous package of proof of submittals, I had sent you all something from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, the U.S. Navy, that provided guidance on EMI issues from solar farms. You all have that? And when I read through that, I had another town Thorndike was concerned about something similar. I read through that document, I provided it to them. I think it very clearly shows that these solar farms are not going to have an impact on radio frequencies. I developed one on the municipal airport in Old Town, Maine, about 5 years ago. I've not heard any complaints. The only component that is capable of emitting EMI are the electrical inverters. And these particular inverters are going to be the same brand, the same manufacturer as ones on a similar 5 megawatt project that's just south in town. So I'd just like to say that if a project 5 times the size of it with the same EMI, same equipment are capable of emitting EMI has not had an issue, I do not think that there is.
I think if you combine the map that was in the last solar farms package that shows where this footprint is relative to the 4 or 5 ham radio operators in Baldwin, and show that distance combined with the article that ameliorates the interference, that those will show the good faith evaluation of making sure that this particular solar farm and its inverters are not close enough to have Norm Blake storming in here and saying that he's got frequency problems.
Okay. Yes, I can compile all of that. I would not want to deal with Norm Blake here.
Yeah, so make that part of the package. Okay. I'm going to go through the notes from the prior evaluations to make sure that we've got all of the conditions listed here before we go to the next step. If anybody else has anything.
I've got three conditions. One would be, in the event the applicant receives a wetland survey requiring modifications to the placement of the project, the applicant must apply to the planning board to modify the project location before construction may begin.
Well said.
That satisfies this issue we have.
Yes. Yeah,
Good?
yeah, that sounds good.
You might have already, this probably you already dealt with. Construction may not begin until the applicant receives a decommissioning permit from the state and the town is named as beneficiary of any insurance. That's the second part of that. Did you do the decommissioning? No, you didn't do that. So let me strike back into that because you did cover that.
Well, no, I like the wording of that. I mean, that's the key thing is getting the word, because these are based just on, I was finger picking, on my phone and notes app during the site walk. To get these, and then, Don, was kind enough to try and flesh them out. So any improvement to the language on any of these is great.
And the third one is the applicant or any subsequent project owner shall notify the town of Baldwin annually of the owner of the project and their contact information and the company contracted to monitor and maintain the project, including their contact information. Because if they flip it, we might not even have the loan. And then we should know who the company contracted for monitoring and maintaining it. So if something does happen, you know who to call. Because you don't necessarily want to call the company. But those are three I jotted down over the old talking. Does that make sense?
Every year you're provided the
Whoever owns it, so if you flip it, whoever's operating it owns operating. And then whoever the monitoring and maintenance company is. And if you just hire out maintenance in a general way, then it's just do the general contractor.
Thank you, Dave. You had more on the facility specifics here, so that's great. Okay. Kent, did we get the $150 CUP application fee? Yes.
I called and paid it over the phone.
You called and paid it over the phone?
I have no idea, that goes to Debbie.
Because that's the day I submitted.
Okay.
I trust you.
Thank you.
About as far as you get.
Now, I think you provided us with the documentation of the approval from CMP for the connection. And we determined that there would be no batteries on the site.
No batteries. Chief Bradley was glad to hear that as well.
Those are all in Gorham now. They're all in Gorham now. All the batteries.
And we covered that there are gonna be emergency numbers on the signage on the gate.
Emergency numbers.
How can we, what kind of a protocol can we set up for the Fricker household on Deacon Road and the Anderson Cartonio, did I get that right, Jacob Cartonio household on Deacon Road, to let those people know when there is going to be a lot of construction activity and deliveries and things like that. And particularly, let's say that you determine with the road commissioner that the front end of Deacon Road, where it abuts 113, needs to be reinforced and things like that. And then you do your work and somebody comes out to reinforce it and things like that. And then these folks need to go to work, or, we need to know when the entrance to Deacon Road is going to be active or impaired.
Yes.
So what kind of protocol can we have to do that? And the reason I'm being picky about this is because we talked about it with the last people, and it was never followed through on.
Well, I'm happy to give you both my cell phone number, and we can make it a condition that the residents on Deacon Road are notified prior to, trying to think of the right wording here, activities on Deacon Road that may impair necessary sounds good to me.
Yeah.
If I might, I just did a commercial project in Portland. I went with that route and it didn't quite work. The thing that works better for us is sharing the 5-week look ahead, because your construction team is always, all the subs are getting the 5-week look ahead. And when I started sharing that 5-week look ahead with the residents, it actually really improved the flow of the project. So it's just a little more tangible than here's my number. It was just like, know it's coming.
Monthly schedules.
Sure.
Yeah, your activity's not gonna be, you're gonna be a pretty tight window. Get the site prepped, bring in the equipment, build it, get a, sorry, 15 days, you're gonna impact that ingress access total?
I mean, I don't think it will be just the normal traffic in and out. I don't think that would be much of an impact, maybe a little bit more of a wait to turn if someone's turning ahead of you. But unless the road commissioner requires significant upgrades to that section, and potentially load of gravel, and maybe a day or two to even it out.
Like your email is mike@emeraldriverpower.com.
Yeah.
Right? mike@emeraldriverpower.com. And we can email you our telephone number for texts and our emails for email confirmation. So you have two ways to get in touch with us, and you can provide that information to your general contractor so they can provide updates. And which is your cell phone number?
617, that number?
617?
617-455-5692.
Great, I got that because your name came up when you called me yesterday. 617-455-5692 is Michael Adams. Okay, so we got that covered.
No crank calling?
Yeah.
Yep. Alright, you're crank call.
Tell me again what a Knox box is. KNOXBOX.
It's really a coded box that will sit on the gate that has a key in it. Unlock. So anyone who has the code can show up and get the key to unlock the gate.
And there's going to be a Knox box on the gate.
There is, but every fire chief I've talked to has just said, forget your box. If there's some reason I need to get in there, just go in or cut the lock. Not fuddle around with the code. But yeah,
because that was my question: is who's gonna have the code or the key to the Knox box you're involved with?
Typically the fire chief.
Okay.
And then within reason, who else the town feels is necessary. But always given to the fire chief. His team.
Yeah, just mention the Knox box to the fire chief and the road commissioner, and they're the only two people that I could think that would want keys or codes. And if neither of them are interested in it, silly here. We covered proof of insurance, right? David covered the lessee's right to terminate or sell, so that we'd be notified. Right. Change. we need to put the, new subdivision, map, on, in this package too. All right. So, does anybody have any other, comments or conditions or, anything, else on, Emerald Trails LLC?
I think just that I'm not sure if we put in there, but the applicant will adhere to the submissions to the planning board. So he submitted all this stuff to us, but you can adhere to those submissions.
And we also are attaching the standard conditions. Right.
Have you seen him?
Yes.
Yeah.
And normally we, sign off on these after we have a, reworked, version of all the conditions. But we want you to be able to, meet your schedule, so, so it's problematic for you to wait until the May 14th?
It is a little problematic.
Okay.
No, I think we're aligned on what the conditions are.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, with that, we will, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Emerald Trails LLC with, all the updated submissions and, all the conditions that we have, talked about tonight. Now, do we sign one of the maps, or we just sign this, or the?
You get a file plan.
Typically, no, it's not required. Sometimes assignments trying to find the facts with all the conditions, others will sign the plan itself.
Yeah, and we can sign both. But I think what we should do is, to help him out, is to vote on the project as proposed and the conditions as proposed, and then it's just subject to putting them down in writing, and then we'll sign it once they're in writing, but we'll approve it tonight, but not actually sign anything tonight. So he knows he has the approval. It's just a matter of maybe some wordsmithing, but it's on video, so it's not like we can go off the rails here. But I wouldn't sign anything until it's in black and white.
Okay. Good. All right. So
that's okay with you. That gets you what you need.
So thank you.
All right.
Is that your motion?
Well, yeah. So I'll move to accept the conditional use permit of Emerald Trails LLC with the conditions that the board discussed, with the understanding that the secretary needs to reduce those conditions to writing, and at that time we'll sign off on the formal approval.
Trail, there's no S. Not sure if it matters. On the record.
See that card? You put a trail, you put an S on it.
Trail.
Just read it.
Oh, no to the chair?
Trail, no S. So I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Yeah, grab them, Andy.
Yep. Okay. Well, let me know if you have everything you need. We got the maps up there. I gave you the, I thought I sent the electronic copies out, but I'll forward them to you so you can put the package together.
Are you gonna come next week?
I don't know if I have everything.
Or have somebody come?
No, I didn't see it.
So we'll sign everything?
Oh, next meeting.
Yeah, next week, I said next week.
If,
14.
if we need someone here, one of us, I'm not sure who. will be-
Miles or Glenn or you.
It's the quickest way to get it done completely to have somebody here. So we'll sign it. We'll look at it. We'll make sure everybody's okay with it. And then we'll sign it, and then you all sign it, and you're good to go.
Okay, I didn't realize that we would be signing as well.
I think we typically do because it's a conditional permit, so you're accepting the condition. That's what we do.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Thank you for, coming up from North Carolina.
Western North Carolina. Will likely be 200 miles. Thank you all for the time.
Yeah, so tell your friends.
Come do business while we're there.
Let's, move on to consider Jamie McDonald's revised subdivision application for map 5, lot 14.
Can I just move for this again too? Can I just move to accept it?
Well, what kind of documentation do we need for that other than, the map, up there?
Does the map have, is it the same conditions as the prior one?
They just updated the new about information. And everything else is the same.
I mean, I don't think we put any conditions on it because it was a division of land, not.
Right.
So I don't know.
Do we need a condition on there, that, Jamie will work with thank you folks for coming. That Jamie will work with the, fire chief and with Emerald Trail LLC regarding, firefighting resources on the, land leased to, Emerald Trail.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But that's on the use, not on the division.
All right. Well, if there are, no conditions, and, everything's straightforward, then, we can, open it up for, a motion to, approve the revised subdivision.
Oh, just one more, that has to be filed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Be signed and filed.
Within how long, Jamie?
I get around to that.
Yeah. Last time you didn't do it in time, so. I think 6 months. 90 days or 6 months. What is it?
Did you ever find the other copy? Is there 2 copies here?
Oh, I think there's 2 copies. You have another copy of the gunshot?
I don't think so. It might be over there, but I think that might be, Stony Brook over there.
Oh, the roll that you have is that one?
I just have one.
Sorry about the transition issues with, Joe to me here. Find some stuff. Oh, before we vote on it, is there a fee associated with a revision to a subdivision, or is just that the original subdivision?
No.
I don't wanna. Not trying to shake you down, but I don't wanna create a
subdivision permit fees, see subdivision ordinance.
What's that?
It says subdivision fees, see subdivision ordinance.
Part was it that?
59,9192.
Oh, yeah, revisions to approved plans. If the revision involves the creation of additional lots or dwelling units, so there was an additional lot, the procedures for preliminary plan approval shall be followed. If the revision involves only modifications of the approved plan without the creation of additional lots or dwelling units, the procedures for final plan approval shall be followed. So we added.
I don't think we had it, I think it was just clarification.
Clarification. Okay. So let's say that only modifications or clarifications of the approved plan. So the procedures for final plan shall be followed. Final plan.
Just for the crowd, we have a subdivision ordinance, and so our job is to enforce the subdivision ordinance, not to make up the law ourselves. So a lot of what you see we're doing is looking at the subdivision ordinance to see what does it say about the situation, and if it says something, then that's what we're supposed to do. If it doesn't say anything, then we're gonna take it out.
Yeah, so if we follow Article 8 for final plan, because that's more than three, it's four more, whatever. All applications for final approval for major subdivision shall be accompanied by an application fee of $25 per lot or acre, whichever is greater, payable by check to the municipality. Blah, blah, blah.
I move we waive the fee.
That's initial.
I move we waive any fee that Jamie, the applicant, may have to pay, because in reality, in the town's eyes, that we're not changing anything on the property because there's a road. There's supposedly a road separating these out, and all he is doing is separating out the property to recognize the existence of the town road, which the town would like to say exists.
Good, thank you for the solution to that, because I didn't want to set a precedent that we didn't collect the fee when this says we should.
I think this is a highly unusual situation. Yeah, I think he already actually paid the fee for this exact situation. He just chose to take that line out at some point for some reason we don't all agree.
Right.
If that's your motion, I would second that.
That's the motion. Seconded, all in favor? Okay, no
And
fee.
you know I'm not a guy who likes waivers, so I mean, trying to get this.
Okay. We need a motion to approve the revision to the McDonald subdivision of map 5, lot 14.
So moved.
And a second? Second. All in favor? Okay. All set.
Do you wanna sign that copy?
Yeah.
And then take it down, or?
Yeah, take it down.
Take it down.
Take it down.
Looks like both copies are.
We actually have to
Oh,
take
yeah,
that
you're
to
up,
the
you're up,
registry
okay.
and file with the public
I think
document,
the deeds office,
where it just needs what the land.
I don't know if they need, I know they needed one with the original signature, so I don't know if they have two.
Did this go with yours, or was
Yes.
that with, okay.
You guys have requested the, deed description?
Here's the, deed description that gets filed with our copy of this. So we need to sign two.
This is a $5 one, but it's your person, you're on top, you want to go first?
Where would you all like me to hold it?
With the CEO. Well, unless you want to.
Actually, I'd like to have.
Okay, yeah, give him the Don.
I'll keep the job file.
Cause you have him electronically. Are there two copies left? Yeah. Oh, copies, you want one? No.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let me go to the bottom, so I get in the room. I have a lot of time working on that for you second.
Good one.
I'm so excited. Look at these curses right up. You want to sign it? John?
I wasn't voting on that.
I think we should call Mike Guido.
Yeah.
His email is Guido Sarducci. It's a long story. That goes way. We're gonna take one of those.
Yep. Okay, I've already entered the second. So whenever I sign a document that has two copies, put a one and a two. So one or two? Yeah, one.
Okay. All right. So, thank you everybody for, bearing with us through all that. Now we are going to, talk with, Farouk Salik and Barrett Takajian about their development plans for the 65.7 acres on, map 5 lot, 14-2B, which is what we just signed off on the JU subdivision. That is the, portion of the subdivision here to the, west of Town Farm Road, that then, goes all the way over past, Deacon Road and encompasses the, corner of Sanborn Road and abuts both Joe Pierce's, land and, my land. I don't know whether it abuts any of, yours, does it, Brent? Okay. So what's happening, guys? What are you thinking of doing?
I might stand up there.
Yeah.
So I'm not throwing my back to everybody, but, so I'm not a real estate expert, although 15 years ago I started a community center in Portland. It's now the biggest community center in the city. We've had 700 kids go through the program. Basil and his brother actually are results of that. They're both at Bowdoin College now. Liam's a new friend, so we're feeling Liam out. But I got to meet Farouk because my wife is a property manager, and a couple beautiful units started to show up close to us. We did Farouk did a project in Freeport, Maine, another tiny house in Harpswell, and now I'm actually working with him to build a barn in Southwest Harbor, Maine, which is my hometown. But just the quality of the work and the price definitely turned my head, and so Kamar, my wife, made an agreement to help manage some of Farouk's properties, whatever he decides to work on next. I was surprised to see that he was buying a piece of land in Baldwin, Maine. His factory is in Leominster, Massachusetts, but he's definitely up there a couple times a week servicing some of the properties he's built recently. So I'll be kind of the boots on the ground and around. Today's conversation, Peridin Consultants has worked with this planning board before. They gave us some numbers, as did Acorn Engineering, to help us come up with a good solution. But you can't get your foot in the game without spending $30,000. So I reached out, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity on the agenda tonight, just to get some guidance from the community and the planning board, just how few of the projects that we've worked on have been short-term rentals, which in some communities is a good thing because they don't put strain on the schools. And in other towns like Portland, the town's adamantly against that. So for starters, some of the units that we've been doing, they come on a trailer. They're all hardwood, high-end materials, but they do just sit on a gravel pad, which would give itself more to a campsite type land use, which would probably be a conditional use in that rural zone. Alternatively, we did some research about what a subdivision would look like with 65 acres. I think you could comfortably have 12 really nice lots up there and a fire access road. But now we're talking about foundations and a little bit of a heavier type of construction. So I'm really curious in hearing about the town's view on short-term rentals, whether it would be more appealing to see light construction, i.e. tiny houses on gravel pads with either sewage tanks or septic fields versus subdividing and potentially selling some lots and doing bigger developments. As I mentioned, Farouk can do both. I'm building a barn with him up in Southwest Harbor right now. But the bread and butter to date has been more of these lighter weight homes that can be wheeled off at any time should they need to. His permitting process is pretty unique. The smaller units are all licensed by the National Highway Association, so they come fully permitted with a VIN number, whereas obviously the barns or A-frames or bigger homes that he's built are typical inspection process. So really just looking for a little bit of guidance from the community and the committee to give us a little bit of reassurance before we go spending money. I come from the nonprofit world, so I don't spend the money that Farouk spends, but I'm still cautious of taking a step without hearing some input first. And I also heard that the Natural Wilderness project might have gotten a little ahead of the cart, gotten the horse ahead of the cart in terms of the way they might have gone about some business. So rather do it the right way on the 2B lot. And also learn a little land history as well. I don't know if any surveys have been up there or who might have owned the land prior, but we're just coming into a town with some history, and it's interesting that everything has been on Deacon Road tonight. So add it to the list. Let's kind of just open it up to comment and feedback. This is really important information for us when deciding about how to proceed.
Well, why don't we open it up to the planning board and see what thoughts do people have, what questions do people have, and Kent, to hear from you too, because this is not the first time we have been grappling with, is this a campground or a subdivision? So that's something that we would have to sort out too. But what thoughts or questions do people have?
What size of the
ones that are.
The fully permitted ones are
Yeah.
400 square feet.
Okay, like, so these are tiny homes.
Yeah, tiny homes. Yeah, tiny homes. That's kind of up to the feedback that we're hearing. I mean, in initial sketches, 12 lots fit pretty comfortably in on that 65 acres.
What zone are you in?
The rural.
So it's all rural.
Yeah.
So in there it's 2 acres.
Exactly.
12 lots and 12 house lots.
Yeah.
Away from the wetlands.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you could get around 30 units there. Yeah, but we
But a lot
don't
of-
put that many. What do you want?
But it's wet too.
Yeah, no, so we're not interested in doing a nature wilderness type project. I mean, the projects that we've worked on are secluded, quiet, beautiful. It's really, people want to come to Baldwin to get away from the noise. They don't want to be going into, a bigger campground type setting necessarily, or just we wouldn't be spending the money. Like Farouk's product is a little bit of a higher end product, granite countertops, and so I think really maintaining the beauty of the land. I do like the lighter construction, just having a gravel pad there, not having to do a lot of septic work. It allows you to really work with the kind of the natural landscape and beauty that's there. But campground to me feels like a more intensive process going through conditional use. I'm not exact versus breaking up the land and going through the subdivision ordinance. Just not exactly sure. Like,
So you're saying tiny homes,
Mhm.
usually tiny homes have wheels, so
Right.
these will have wheels, right?
They can either have wheels or they can be put right on the gravel pad.
So usually, like, if it's a mobile home, you're putting it on a cement pad, not a gravel pad.
You can put it like that too. But
Yeah.
those houses, the way that we build them, we can either build them with trailer, with trailer or without trailer, being the same size. So if the city requires.
And I know
that,
like 450 square feet is usually like what an apartment would be in Portland.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
400
work
square
for
foot
Oxford
is
Housing,
the limit.
so.
Yeah.
400 square foot is the limit that we can put on the trailer. Over 400 square foot, we wouldn't put it on the trailer. So once you put it more than 400 square foot, then it's not, technically it's not tiny home.
Mhm.
Bigger accessory dwelling unit that cannot go on the trailer.
So you would be following state code for tiny homes?
Correct.
Yeah, they have a separate code, just,
Mhm.
if you're no longer working with the residents.
Right.
building
Exactly.
code, you're working with the tiny home.
Right.
Which gives you some flexibility as to how you arrange the.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you're talking about rentals.
Exactly. I think that's the most
So you're
important
looking
thing.
at single ownership for the entire property.
If you go campground, yes. Subdivision opens up the ability to sell some of the lots. Yeah.
So you have to make a decision whether you want to do it all rentals or you want to do subdivision.
Correct.
Subdivision is a lot more involved than.
I think campground would be the preference. I just honestly didn't know how the experience was with the Nature's Wilderness project or what other campgrounds have happened in the town. I know it's an allowable use in the rural zone.
Let me
But,
weigh
yeah,
in
please.
here with something. As best I can determine, the planning board is bound to administer the ordinances for Baldwin as they are written. Isn't that the last place we were on that, Bob? Okay. So, given that, let me read the definition for a campground in our land use ordinance. Campground is land upon which one or more tents are erected or trailers are parked for temporary, not more than 6 months in a year, and use for a fee on sites arranged specifically for that purpose. the word campground shall include the words camping ground and tenting grounds. Now, that may be a little archaic in terms of a campground. It for instance, there are little shack-like cabins on Nature's Wilderness that are, you know,
That was
placed.
that was the precedent that we were working off of. So you know that's the kind of guidance that we're here for.
But it's
certainly.
not.
Yeah.
It's not. They have tent sites, and primarily the vast amount of their usage is for trailers. Now, when I look at that definition of campground, if somebody were to say to me there are no tent sites, there's no trailer sites, these are just tiny homes, and that you're going to have to put roads in to wooded areas to get to these tiny homes, whether they're individually on 2-acre lots or clustered together on a lot or something like that. That sounds to me more like a subdivision than a campground, you know, based on that. Now let me read the definition for a subdivision. The division of a tract or parcel of land into 3 or more lots within any 5-year period that begins after September 23rd, 1971. This definition applies whether the division is accomplished by sale, lease, development, buildings, or otherwise. The term subdivision also includes the division of a new structure or structures on a tract or parcel of land into 3 or more dwelling units within a 5-year period. The construction or placement of 3 or more dwelling units on a single tract of parcel of land, and the division of an existing structure or structures previously used for commercial or industrial use into 3 or more dwelling units within a 5-year period. And you know, I don't know whether we would or whether we're supposed to consider tiny homes as dwelling units. So, given those two definitions, campground and subdivision, my thought processes say that what you're talking about with the short-term rentals, you know, being only a construction project for short-term rental tiny homes sounds more like a subdivision than a campground, but I'd like to entertain what other people think about that. Kent, particularly, you know, this is something I know you have wrestled with a bit, so I'd like to know your thoughts on it.
Which part of it?
You know, does this sound more like, you know, 12 house lots of 2 acres each for tiny homes that will be short-term rentals? Does that sound like a campground or a subdivision?
A pass.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know.
We had the template.
I was trying to.
What's the minimum?
So it is 100.
Tiny homes, 400.
It is done the town's
That's
requirement.
state.
Okay, state.
You have no ordinance on tiny homes? No. Under state.
Did you say how many you were thinking about doing?
Maybe 12 or 13 of them.
Yeah, you know, looking at the site, Kent, you have to say,
So we can't have,
That's already have multiple.
we can't have multiple conversations.
Cameras.
So I I've heard Joe say this before, but, I think you're supposed to direct questions either to me or to, the presenter. So, just to keep cross conversations from, but you get a pass, Wes, because
I have a comment about this.
let us know your comment.
You say it's a lightweight home on a gravel pit, sometimes the wheels sound more like a trailer park to me. And will that devalue the neighboring houses around in the area?
Yeah, well, I don't think we can evaluate a project based on its impact on increasing or decreasing the value of surrounding properties unless we want to get ourselves in a lot of hot water, which I don't want to
There is
do.
a statement on that, but you're right.
Yeah, okay. Brent,
Deacon Road, what is Deacon Road past your property?
Deacon Road, there is no Deacon Road past my property. Town Farm Road is a town road. It is on the, registry or the inventory of, town roads. It has not been maintained. Somebody could make a case that it has been abandoned in effect, or, it could be common law abandonment, it could be statutory abandonment, but it is not a discontinued road because it has not been declared so at a town meeting or a town council. So,
As far as we know.
yeah, as far as we know. So,
What is
Carrie.
the process to do that?
I'm just looking up that, I think the select board can nominate roads to be discontinued and then eventually has to be passed at a town meeting. And there's various stages of discontinuance. But generally, if you go to just being a public right of way, so the town can go over it, and other public people can go over it, but we don't maintain it. And the property reverts to the people on either side of the road, and merges in the middle.
Which it isn't maintained now.
When was it used last?
So the whole idea of Town Farm Road is one that we're not going to solve tonight. The town select board believes it is a town road. We've had some information given to us that it was discontinued. Not quite sure how, but it was discontinued, right? Is that the right word?
No. Town Farm Road, we don't have any documentation that Town Farm Road has been discontinued. We do have documentation that Deacon Road was discontinued, but there was never any follow-up to the assumption or the claim on there about discontinuance. I don't know that Debbie ever found anything.
Yeah, the book that has the information on it apparently.
So anyways, there's a question whether or not Town Farm Road is or is not a road. So I'm not sure it makes much difference to the applicant. I guess that's where I was kind of headed. I'm not sure.
Well, here's the difference that it makes. If Town Farm Road is a town road and somebody buys a parcel of land that abuts Town Farm Road and builds a house on it, then the town has an obligation to turn that trail or unfinished road, because there is no road there. There's no gravel, there's no nothing. It's just the fact that there's no trees. The town may have an obligation to create a dirt road out of that. That's what happened when Lisa Kirk and David Wood, whom I bought the house at 26 Deacon Road from, when they bought that land that has, you know, that's right on Sanborn Pond, and they bought that 6-acre parcel and the 3/4 lots surrounding Deacon Road and Town Farm Road. The town, and it was Don Brown who told me that he did it, he remembers putting it in, he actually had to turn, at the town's expense, that 2-track, which is what Town Farm Road is now, he had to turn that 2-track into the gravel dirt road that it is now. Now, I don't know whether the town would have the same responsibility to do that with Town Farm Road or not, but that might be one of the questions.
My memory is vague, but when Scott Efron was against campgrounds, then there was an issue about Town Farm Road.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike.
And I think it also was referred to as the boundary lines for some land. I'm not sure.
Well, back to the campground versus subdivision issue. David, do you have any, with your 20+ years of experience on the planning board, do you have any insight into that could help Barrett and Farouk?
Not really. I mean, if you're creating the project, then you want to create it as to what you want. So if you want it to be a campground, then you want to create the structure of a campground. And, you know, the difference is so difficult to discern because there are structures like you're talking about in a campground that we have already in town. So it's hard to say that type of structure could never be a campground because we allowed it once before. But I mean, I think it depends on what you want to do. You've kind of painted this really blurry vision of where you want to go. You know, you talked about potentially selling some. You weren't clear. You know, will this be one owner or not? That makes a huge difference because if it's more than one owner, it's subdivision because you're dividing the land.
And the difference is really if we went subdivision, we would probably build larger units because that's what would be permitted. Whereas if you say campground, it would be smaller, lightweight, more affordable for, you know, I don't know if Farouk can bankroll, 12 full-size homes. You know, we might need to sell half the unit if that was the case. Versus, the lighter construction is a different feel, a different experience.
Right.
And probably something that we could finance and afford in the family without breaking the land up and bringing them multiple years.
I mean, from what I've seen, a lot of your initial cost is going to be in infrastructure. So if you're going to have 12 units, you have to provide a road that handles that 12 units from
either way.
Deacon to wherever you're at.
Exactly.
And then you have your site, you're going to have fire suppression. You're going to have, because we have to be wide enough for trucks to come in. You're going to need each one of them have a site. You're going to, depending on how you do it, you're going to have stormwater runoff. So your infrastructure costs seem like that's a huge issue.
Yeah.
And if it's a subdivision, that's gonna have to be a proper road. If it's a camp, you might be able to get by with something less.
Exactly. Those are exactly, I mean, if I came in here and the committee was clear one way or the other, that makes our life easy. Otherwise, it's an economic analysis of the infrastructure required for subdivision, probably requires bigger units to make the numbers work. Whereas if it's, a dirt road with a turnaround and splintering off small tiny houses, that's a different capital expense. So, but the precedent, I understand the precedent there. I agree with Matt that the language to me points more towards the subdivision, but
please. Are you having cooking facilities inside these tiny homes?
Yeah, they have bathrooms and kitchens, so you need fire.
I would say that they would be considered dwelling units.
Yeah. Okay.
And the subdivision, if I'm not mistaken, and you can tell me, or this board can tell me, but I think a subdivision is the division of 3 lots or dwellings. Exactly.
So you can have a subdivision that you divide the property. That's the classic subdivision. Or you can have a subdivision that has more than 3 dwelling units on a parcel, which is what we just did. I don't know the name of it. Over on Route 11. Maybe not from here, but it's just a recent subdivision. They had 6 dwelling units on one piece of property, and so that was a subdivision by the fact that there was more than 3 dwelling
so
units.
You need a total of 6 acres for that to fly, but they don't have to be 3 distinct lots.
It was not a division, and that was a specific condition, is they could not sell off the property without coming back to us, because it wasn't a division of land, it was essentially a cluster development. It wasn't a cluster development, but you could do the same thing there. You could have 12 dwelling units of whatever size on the 65 acres, and you wouldn't break up the land, but you also couldn't parcel it off. You'd have to come back, and if you didn't do it correctly, you'd be screwed, because sometimes you can't parcel it off the right way.
Right. Exactly. Because you need 200 feet of front road frontage per division.
Setbacks, you got
exactly.
So you can screw yourself on the back end.
And have you ever seen a hybrid? I mean, could you do 2 land parcels with 3 dwelling units per parcel?
Sure.
That sort of thing?
Yeah, you'd have to have the right acreage.
Yeah.
It's still a subdivision.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting.
Well, they haven't talked about ADUs and whether they're going to pull that.
The owner has to live in one of the units.
Right.
Now,
No, that's not right.
Well,
That's not right.
I'm not saying right now, it's
tiny home.
I don't think we want to get down that.
That's if we were going big in density. We're not trying to go big on density.
The tiny homes, whether they're on if the 12 house lots, gravel paths, tiny homes. A campground, none of the campground sites, whether they are a little shack, or whether it's a site for a trailer, none of them have their own septic system.
Right.
They are all connected to an on-site septic system by underground lines that you connect to your trailer and things like that. So one of the measures in my mind that would move this distinctly from a campground to a subdivision, besides the dwelling unit definition that we talked about, is if these tiny homes each have their own septic, it sounds a lot more like a subdivision than a campground.
Yeah, so that's a good thing, because, I recently stayed at a campground. It had one central bathing house, and, so, yeah, interesting. You might need to take the kitchens out and redesign it a little bit. But even still, I'd want to have some additional conversations if we were to go that way, because as it's written, I still feel like we're flirting with the definition of what a more conversations to be had there. Sorry, this is David. Great. And do you represent the town or just have a seat on the? Cool. Okay, cool. Nice.
A lawyer.
Okay, great. I was gonna say, he's talking like he's got the crowd. Yeah. Okay. Was there anything from the neighbors, in terms of like concerns or feelings one way or the other way?
Traffic.
Yeah.
Evaluation of property.
Yeah.
The whole concept of rebuilding the place is like for the people to run away from the noise, it's not for them to go and make the noise.
And you'll,
But they're developing it, they're definitely going to.
yeah.
Sure, yeah. It's gonna change that road big time. Yeah. And part of this is getting phone numbers and just like, you can't do anything without swapping numbers and like having some conversations. So.
And you'll find that this town will work with you for years if you want to work with us for years to get to the right answer. But we're slow to trust.
Totally.
And if somebody comes in here and says, I want to do this, this, and this, and this, it's like, hey, that's great.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it for a while and see, if the proof is there in terms of, and I don't know y'all, so
Of course,
it's
no.
not. But if you listen to the feedback you get and, you get the right people on the project, the right, you talked about Teradyne or whoever, you get the right people. So we trust what you're saying. You'll get more trust from us. It'll take a while. But also, whenever you talk about increasing the density, 10, 11, 12, 13 houses, that's not something we've seen. Like that is a new concept for us. So you're gonna get pushback just because of its sheer size.
Sure.
Not that it's huge, it's huge, but for us it is.
Yeah. And on that, so I understand what the conditional use permit looks like, all by construction occupancy. What is the subdivision process? Is it just planning board approval for the subdivision? It's an approved use, right? So what are the benchmarks? I mean, I don't think there's like any huge rush here by any means, but just would like to know what the process looks like.
Go to the town website, right? And under policies and ordinances, look up the subdivision ordinance.
Okay.
And it would be a major subdivision, regardless of how many parcels you subdivided into with the number of dwelling units you're talking about. It would be a major subdivision. And it will list. It'll give you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gary and David. Just two thoughts. Yeah, go ahead.
Definition of a campground, they talk about trailers. They can only be occupied for 6 months a year, right? So you're looking at tiny homes where you want to have people going, living there full time.
Short-term rentals is, all the.
How about would somebody wanted to stay there for a year?
You just, no. Short-term rentals have to be less than 30 days, and you set the dates if they're open. So if there was a provision that they can't be open.
I'm thinking tiny homes, there are people that want to live there full time.
Of course, yeah.
So you would limit that to less than 90 days, 6 months, whatever it is.
Right.
So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is sort of like the subdivision we just approved, which was 6 units on a single lot.
Right.
You could do 12 units on a single lot if you provided 2,400 feet of frontage. Right. So you would have to run a road in, and you could go on either side of the road.
Okay, 1,200 per unit.
200 per unit.
Got it.
So that would be a total of.
That makes sense.
I think is it 200 for the first and 100 for the one second.
Okay, that's in there though.
But it's in there, and you have to provide a road with that type of frontage.
Right, of course. Well, that's the expense.
And then you can cluster them together
Yeah.
if you
I
want.
mean, even if we were talking about just a single house, the road is going to be the expense.
Then what do you do with Deacon Road? You're gonna have a lot more traffic on Deacon Road.
Right,
So
exactly.
you're gonna have to improve Deacon Road.
Right, exactly.
Well, so the question whether the town would have to improve it or the applicant. An open question.
Mhm.
That's,
the applicant.
I think it's applicant myself.
I'm just saying it's an open question. I'm not
Well,
saying,
Right, we kind of had that discussion earlier about the
Town farm road.
farm road, exactly.
Good. Thank you, Don. One other thing to consider, and that is that, we blew this up for you a little bit. This is the parcel you're looking at there. There are a lot of wetlands on the property, a huge amount. Plus, it's in the resource protection zone.
Right.
And San Juan Pond does constitute a body of water that is protected under the resource protection zone. So, there's very little that you can do within that zone. So, whatever you work out with Teradyne is they need to be tuned into the zoning,
right,
and the resource protection zone, shoreline zone limitations.
So you might wanna take this picture here.
Yeah, no, it's super helpful.
You see this?
Yeah, Teradyne.
This is an overlay of the shoreline protection map on top of the tax map, basically.
Right.
And you see that the green area is your resource protected area. The blue obviously is the lake.
Yep.
And there's another pond over here. There's probably a vernal pond over here. What's resource protected. Well, we just saw with the previous people over here, they actually showed wetlands coming back down here. So the best thing to do is have a soil scientist go out,
Right, yeah.
actually
That's
walk the
next step,
property
definitely.
and see where the buried wetlands are.
You gotta do that.
But it's
for
gonna be
spring,
actually
so.
larger than this is what's shown here on the plan. So,
Definitely.
but you can see it's probably about half of the property is still
Yeah.
So you can have that.
we're probably looking at 3 to 6 months for this process, just depending on how complex it is. But you do some pretty quick, but some of them take a long time.
Yeah, of course.
At 12, 13, 14, whatever the number is,
Yeah.
probably takes several months.
Yeah.
To kind of keep it up.
Good thing about me being right down the road, but I really appreciate.
Yeah, have we provided some delineation of the thought process and the options that you're considering that you were
I
looking
think
for tonight?
just showing face is a good way to start a project, and if possible, to maybe walk away with a couple contact information. So as we're working with Teradyne or whoever the civil engineer is, we can be getting some feedback in real time.
Your 2 points of contact are me and Kent.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And do you have my contact information? I think.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think. Got it.
I'll make sure you call the SJM.
What's that?
I'll make sure you call the SJM.
Yeah. Well, this is exciting. It is tiny homes involved with.
Exactly. Well, I was gonna say, if it's not on 2B, you should talk to Farouk about doing something in your backyard, because his product is pretty exceptional. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Thank you. All right, guys. There's going to be a quiz. Thank you for coming tonight. And then, Brett, did you have any other questions or anything? The same one from the seasonal or this winter too?
No, yeah, let's do winter too.
campground definition, you know. Yeah.
But still temporary,
But
so.
it's temporary.
It'd be like, well, I mean, I don't know what their concept is, but, you know, you'd do like, little cabins in the woods sort of thing, where you can rent a cabin in the woods and go up there for 3 weeks, a month, and then next person comes in.
For people in Boston, this is the county out there.
This is where they're gonna film horror movies.
You got one more person here?
Yeah. Hi.
I just was here visiting, based on listening to the project and the landscape around where the extension development is, it looks like you probably want to move pretty fast given soil sciences.
Yeah.
Because of the fact you only have probably another 30 days to determine where pools.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's really helpful.
Bob, anything from your perspective on this? Bruce? Wes? Good?
Not really what I'm here, but part of the discussion was, decommissioning fee for solar farms.
Yeah.
We've had that before, Marietta and Walrus. And in it was also the position that every 5 years it should be reviewed to make sure the decommissioning fee has been raised up to stay with inflation. Does the planning board have a mechanism to know when to check these things every 5 years?
Thank you. Good thought. Okay, folks, we are, I'm gonna put off, the rest of the agenda to discuss upcoming projects.
Thank you.
Okay, unless, does anybody, want to take a vote to vote me out of being the, chairperson since we ran past 9 o'clock on my first meeting?
Pass over the item.
Okay.
Pass over the item.
Before we close the meeting, I want to hand out, these people came in, Nick Thorne came in and dropped these off and gave them to Kent. It is for 1111 Pickpocket Trail, tax map 11A, lot 77.2, which is way up past the West Baldwin Cemetery, mixed use, village commercial, duplex, and a storage facility and stuff. So they're going to want to come in and talk with us about this at some point. It's not on the agenda yet, but it will be.
It's behind the old school. So everybody knows. The most recent name was the Call of the Wild, something like that. So there you go. Across the street from the post office.
No, it's just past Douglas Hill Road.
Oh, yeah, you're asking for the location.
Yeah,
Yeah, just past Douglas Hill Road.
Before where they do the piles of wood.
It's July and the old gas station.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I saw the green. Yeah, I know the green BMW. That should be your wife alone. You her partner, or is that the one you're driving?
My wife,
She took the white one.
she took the white one, and she said, like, happy wife, happy life. So I said, I have to be happy, and I went down both the streets. Especially I did the color. All right, I see you next week. Okay. All right, thank you. Good night.
Yeah. Move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Wow, that was quick.
Yep. Okay. All in favor? Thank you all very much for.
Good job. Glad to stop.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.